can you still feel romance?
He said you had a really interesting relationship. This was a catalyst that triggered your awakening.
It was just really intense to have that mirror reflecting back to me that I was no one. Like a woodpecker just like kept pecking at my thoughts and like the way I saw the world. The feeling of being me behind my eyes began to like move forward. My consciousness kept expanding outwards and then it got to everything. So it was just like more and more love. Looking at people and laughing and like everything was so beautiful. Like, and I was like looking at things and I was like, wow, I didn't realize how beautiful this place was. And it just was like, boom! And then it disappeared.
So, you had another breakthrough yesterday?
A state, non-state, we can call it a state of infinite contentment.
You just like kind of disappear into the singularity.
Yeah, like peaceful, it's just like rest, it's like peace.
Complete
and
rest all the time.
infinite relief. Even if I'm quote unquote tired or moving or doing something, it may seem like my body persona is doing something, but inside I'm just like, like complete peace. And then the eyes can relax because there's no sense of self behind the eyeballs.
You don't need to focus on anything anymore, right?
No, it focuses itself out of the need of the moment.
Yes, that field reconfigurates itself for whatever quote-unquote focus it needs. But it's not you doing it, it's only the observer.
But it took will until now.
Yeah, you took some will until you have to drop the will. So there's no more distinction between like doer or not doership. Subject of what is the sound of what?
One hand clapping.
You want to recall the moment.
Tell us where we're going.
Hello, Frank.
How do you know my name?
I know your name because during the couple of years that I've tried to get rid of all the layers surrounding my subconscious, versions of reality that are more or less, I don't know if that actually exists, I don't know if anything actually exists.
You're showing it.
That's a beautiful thing because it gets close to the source.
You can do a little dance,
Do a little dance?
Yeah.
I can do some moves.
Some move, please.
Okay, but so my first move was this one that I learned. But I'm more of the flexing moves. Are you ready for my flexing moves?
Yes.
Woo! So this is my flexing moves.
But with Frank, it's like every girl, it's like the testimonial for the next girl. And every girl is just like okay with it. So then they all like, okay, I'll be okay with it. And it's like a thing.
Yeah, so they're okay with it because they already see what I do.
Yeah, so it's like, it's efficient. It worked.
Yeah, it worked.
It worked.
So every time you're in doubt, like if you're going through any kind of experiences, just always remember, like, what is the true nature of that experience? Just contemplate it, like, just investigate. Like, what is it made out of? It's almost like walking around a sculpture and feeling it. That's Vipassana, like investigating the nature of sensations, the nature of experiences.
What is this?
Yeah, what is this? Yeah, what is this? What is the nature of the mind?
Yeah.
What is the nature of the ultimate reality?
What is this for? I also
don't forget, when you get caught up in bliss, just you can still feel the bliss, but just always remember to investigate. Yeah, that's the difference between insight and experience. People get stuck in experiences a lot. If you don't see through to the true nature of experiences or the true nature of the mind or reality, then it's very easy to try to avoid the experience or try to cling on to the experience. A lot of people chase after equanimity too, especially like after a 10-day retreat or something, and they try to hold on to the equanimous feeling.
It's a dependent origination. It's like we need each other for everything.
Yeah.
without neediness. It's without cleanliness. It's like an integral creative experience of ecosystems.
Yeah, exactly. So even the dark night experiences, the dark night of the soul, is dependent on the bliss and the mystical state.
Because it had to go back down.
Yeah.
It was like...
They give rise to each other. They manifest,
Yeah.
they create, they co-create each other.
Yeah.
Right? So dark and light, they codependent rise.
This is just inside of our minds, bro. I don't feel like I'm really existing, but that's why I'm actually alive, because I feel like I'm already dead. It's like a vampire. I lived for so many centuries that just like now being in the game is just like being a glitch. It's just like, how can we create some stories and create characters, but you cannot believe anymore that you're the character. Even when you're processing something, or there's still debris of anger, fear, sadness, or whatever, it's just like, to me, it just arises like, and it's just gone. And the moment I quote unquote explain this, it's already gone and there's a new segment. So being on the move on a car is just like the closest to the quote-unquote natural state. And then like you're in the receiving mode. So if you can keep the state of being on the car looking at the window while you're like sitting at your house doing nothing, that's it. Because you're sitting on your room or in your house and you don't think something's happening, but like you're always moving. Like I think
even when you're standing still, you're moving.
Yeah,
and then when you move, you're also standing still. At the end, you erase the duality between the process and the destination. Oh, this is a perfect shot right here. It's quite angle. Okay. So yeah, she does videos online too. Like,
Yeah.
I want to know both of your most frequently asked questions from the audience. And then you have to give the answer.
two topics, either how to become really wealthy or how to empty yourself. And I say it's the same thing. There's no difference in between enlightenment or being rich.
It's like discovering that you always had $1 million, like infinite $1 million.
Yeah.
When you, when you wake up to...
I'm constantly around zero.
Zero though, it's still the same. The zero is like infinite dollars. That's the feeling. That's the feeling that you get when you have an opening. When you have that shift, it's like, oh wait, there's always you're just pulling out $1 million, infinite $1 million all the time from your pocket. It's like endless.
My most frequently asked question is, what should I do? Not just to become enlightened, but to stop suffering or to feel better. So what should I do?
That's so broad.
It's like really dependent, like what they're asking for. You know, if they're asking to feel a little better, then there's so much they can do. I never get asked how to become rich.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you about your story. He said you had a really interesting relationship. It was a catalyst that triggered your awakening.
Yeah, so I met a guy in India and we started dating, and we'd both been visiting an Indian teacher called Ramesh Balsakar. Have you heard of Nisargadatta Maharaj?
Of course. Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
Ramesh Balsakar was his translator and his student, so then Ramesh started teaching. So I was visiting him and Roger was visiting, and then when we went together to Ramesh told me that I had to listen to everything Roger said. Felt like Roger was enlightened, and Roger was free. He just like a woodpecker, just like kept pecking at my thoughts and like the way I saw the world. But it's not an easy process, you know, when somebody's like pointing out your neurosis and your ways of thinking, and it kind of like sent me a bit crazy.
Yeah, the last concert I went to, and probably the only concert I went to, was Britney Spears' concert when I was 15 years old. Yeah, she was my first crush.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting.
When her first album came out, there was nothing but feeling of infatuations and first love and romantic love. But by the time like her second album came out, there were some sexual tensions between us. And I started putting her posters on my wall and on my ceiling.
Wow.
Yeah, and I had Backstreet Boy posters too.
I had posters of Britney too.
Yeah, you kind of remind me of Britney Spears.
You told me that all the time.
I told you that the first time we did a podcast.
We did 2 podcasts. You told me
We
the
need to do
second
one, like we're doing the best one right now, I think.
I know, this is the 3rd podcast.
Willkommen in Hamburg.
You're very beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks.
Enjoy the concert.
Have a nice day.
And at times it was also like really blissful, but yeah, it was just really intense to have that mirror reflecting back to me that I was no one. But yeah, so that happened. So then I listened to Roger for 3.5 years, and then he told me I had to leave because we lived together for 3.5 years, and then like 2 weeks later just had a massive shift. But the whole time I was with Roger, I was having lots of
Little
shifts and kundalinis and awakenings, and then it just was like boom.
You want one? Yes. Let's have chocolates. Let's have chocolates.
It's impossible to grasp into an image when it's already gone. The moment you think about the next, it's gone. It's impossible. And that image will never be the same that it was a minute ago. People that represented triggers or traumas in the past, and then like we project the same image, but it's not the same person. It cannot never be the same person because there's not even a person. It's just like the conglomeration of memories and circumstances.
It's causes and conditionings.
Causes and conditions of the moment.
Nothing has a self-nature. The essence is that there is no essence. If something has an essence, then it can shapeshift into other forms. That's the only reason why things can come into existence. Like you and I manifest each other right now,
right.
Only because neither of us has an essence. So infinite potentiality, emptiness, love, and dependent origination, they're all talking about the same thing.
But there's no head and there's nobody behind the eyeballs. So it's just like, oh, he told me I was that, this reflection. And then people get stuck in the loops of that samsara hell in that moment. Because then like, this is me, but it's the empty Godhead that's the unmanifest. Like giving life and perception through the eyeballs, through the light that passes through everybody in the... It's like this is empty and has a huge black hole.
But there's only like infinite reflections, but there's no mirror.
So unmanifest and then manifest right away. So the Godhead and the God becomes that faceless. But when somebody has a personality, solidity inside the head, then the splash comes and it's like, that's me.
What happened to me in that moment was I was sitting in a cafe, and as I was like looking around, everything became beautiful. Like, and I was like looking at things and I was like, wow, I didn't realize how beautiful this place was. And then the waitress came over and it was like, she was doused in beauty and it was just so beautiful. My thinking, I think, was slowing down. There wasn't really much self-awareness. My consciousness and my sense of being me, you know, like the feeling of being me. So, you know, like you feel beforehand, like you've
some location in the body, or either behind your eyes, in the head, or like in the chest.
So the feeling of being me behind my eyes began to like move forward. So it was just like more and more love, and then it kept expanding outwards. And again, I couldn't perceive that it was happening.
But then there's no reference point for the experiencer to describe even what the experience is. So let's say it's a non-experienced experience.
Yeah. And then it got to everything, and then it disappeared. So it's like, it was like doom doom. It was like I was
the
growing.
sense of self
grew.
spread out. It became everything, and then it became nothing. It disappeared from even the everythingness, right?
So then, like, I just was like looking at people and laughing, and like everything was so beautiful. I couldn't do practical things, like crossing the road was hard, but I couldn't really perceive that, so it was just like a raving fool. That took like about 4 years of like in and out of intensity. Like functioning became easier, and being in the world became easier, and speaking became easier.
Miterlebt als Kind und heute sind wir alt geworden.
Whereas in those 4 years, it felt like maybe being stoned, you know, like when you smoked a joint.
Yes, you just feel like you're on acid, like on 5 DMT all the time.
I just feel like it's an endless, like expansion in the body. Like there's just, I feel like there's no end to it, like till the body dies.
I'm not sure.
Everybody wants to know what is in the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Is there at the end of the tunnel or not?
That's real Berlin.
Yeah?
Behind this
There's
tunnel.
no tunnel, right? Just
Yeah.
keep going deeper.
Deeper and deeper, darker and darker.
It's trying to like close the loop of emptiness, but it just keeps going. So odd. I love it.
So there are some clubs where you can be really free.
Can I be naked?
Not kind of. You can like straight out anything.
Just no
And you can do with some other people whatever you like to do.
Okay.
No mobile phones are allowed.
No, of course, yeah.
No photos. Just be yourself.
Where? Can you give me an address?
Might be an option.
Okay.
Don't wanna close my eyes. I don't wanna fall asleep, 'cause I miss you, babe. And I don't wanna miss a thing.
You know, I feel like when I capture beauty, whether that's the world or individuals, sometimes I have to find the right angle for there to be the most aesthetic instant. But with you, it's like every single instant. With you, I don't have to find the right angle. It's like 360.
Thank you.
It's a panoramic view of beauty.
Aww.
Like every angle is so beautiful. Like every single. So you did a video with Angelo, right?
Yeah, we met a long time ago in America, in like Colorado.
Right. Last question. Can you still feel romance?
Romance, I think it's very different than it used to be. I think it used to be a fantasy. It used to be like something you would massage with your mind, like, oh, that special person and all that.
What does it feel like now?
Not so much like that. I can feel attraction for sure. It's instantaneous.
Okay.
Like, I just feel it. And I would be more inclined to like say it or something, or talk about it, or be authentic.
The feeling
about
of like butterfly in your stomach, you don't really feel it. Like...
I don't think it's in my stomach. It's probably more in my chest. Yeah, it's more. It feels like it's more in the environment.
Yeah.
Things like so.
Spread
that's
out.
That's another thing. Yeah, sexual energy to me sometimes is like literally it's like the walls and the whole room. It's not in the body.
Yeah.
But a lot of energies are like that. So sadness feels like the whole room is painted with sadness or something. Yeah, sensations tend to just like the sexual act itself, or the experience of the sensations of sex, isn't why sex is so charged. The reason sex is so charged is because of how much validation seeking we inject into our desire and drive to be with a special person or a person that makes us feel special. That goes very, very, very deep. Drive definitely goes down, I think. The mental aspect of it, which can be really strong. A lot of people certainly do spend a lot of time fantasizing more than you realize, even if it's not directly sexual, it's romantic fantasizing. And it's a big part of what occupies our mind, right? And that tends to go down a lot or go away. And it can feel at times, if you're not in a sexual situation, like, I have no sex drive, there's no interest in it, it's just gone, like, oh, that's weird. But then if you are in a physical connection with someone in a sexual situation, it's just like, boom, it can start, it can fire up pretty quickly, in my experience. So it's very, very situational. In one way, it's not any different than eating or something. It's just it's a collection of sensations.
Being in relationships, especially a romantic relationship or a sexual relationship, is the biggest catalyst for maybe not just integration or clearing up, but the whole awakening process. Because I think that sex and romance is the biggest conditioning for all human beings, because as biological organisms, we're here to reproduce. So that's the deepest, most biological, most hardwired conditioning. If you can break through that, then you can pretty much break through everything.
At this period in your life that you've met Nikki, what does it represent for you?
My deepest desire merging with the deepest emptiness I've ever felt my whole life, and the two cancel each other out. All the traumas that I accumulated throughout, like generational traumas and my past relationships, she pretty much dealt with the same shit. That's how we connected. Because she has the same shadows as me.
And so in terms of her supporting you in dissolving those last pieces, like what opened that pathway?
Showed her every speck of my human character in a hotel room in Berlin that I couldn't show anyone before.
Wow.
There was no shame, no guilt.
Wow.
And no fear.
Close my eyes. I don't wanna fall asleep, 'cause I miss you, baby, and I don't wanna miss a thing.